Day 174 of the Ukrainian war map, also known as the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Chelsea here, and today is just another quick update as I take a simplified and down-to-earth approach to the happenings on the ground in Ukraine there. Now, starting off, as always, I like to take just a quick peek at the Russian military personnel losses, with the main figure here being this one, so the 43,900 lost there. Now, I could talk all day about these details, but this data that we see, but do take it with a grain of salt. Speaking of which, having a look at the intended amount for invasion, 190,000. Sometimes it's been reported as 250,000. This doesn't include other things like shadow mobilization, so people being picked up from rural areas in Russia, being sort of dangled with a carrot of a sweet contract in order to go to the front lines. Again, take all this with a grain of salt for now, but it's actually deserves its own video. I'm sure I'll do one day. Now, starting off, having a little bit of a look at the military hardware and seeing what's missing. So a real mouth-watering 11 armoured combat vehicles in the last 24-hour reporting period, a decent 4 tanks and 4 artillery as well, and an extra helicopter there too. Now let's move back to the map and in Ukraine. In fact, we'll go above Ukraine again to Belarus, where it does get a bit of news here these days. So a pro-Russian country here, of course. Now, reports indicate that Russia is amassing a significant force in Belarus for upcoming missile attacks on Ukraine. So basically, there's been a massive influx of ammunitions to Belarus, which has been identified there, probably near these airfields as we can see, or as we can see the Mr. Potato Heads around that location. So what this means is we do expect potentially a northern offensive from the Russian side in the upcoming future. Now, in the upcoming weeks perhaps there. So we'll stay on that and see what happens there soon. But effectively, the Belarusian proxy location is being used there. Move across to Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, right here, where missiles are actually sirening off at the moment as of this recording. So there's not a lot of details out yet, but seems to be happening a lot to the southwest area. This Kalyanivka town there, in fact, but I'm sure we'll hear more about that tomorrow. Moving across to the Chernihiv Oblast, this whole region here. Now, Russia continues to intensively shell the Chernihiv Oblast here. Now, it's places like this where I notice the sheer insanity of the Russian aggression, I guess you could say. Because here you have a vast majority of the population in this oblast that considers themselves Ukrainian proud, with a Ukrainian-centric government there as well. And yet there is this country right next door to them, right above, north to them in fact, that is just shelling them or sending missiles their way from their own country of Russia. It just feels wrong, it just feels bizarre, and it just goes to really remind me of the insanity of it all there with that Russian aggression. Moving across to the Sumy Oblast, where there were, similar to the Chernihiv Oblast, there were 50 explosions that were recorded in the greater Oblast area overnight. No casualties reported, which is good to hear. Kharkiv, Russian forces continue to shell in Kharkiv there as well, in 5 districts in the greater Oblast area too. And now we move down to the ever-contested Donbas region here. So really, we've got a lot of the fighting on the front line in the Donetsk Oblast here, and Russia is still obviously looking to take this white block or area here to I suppose, claim some sort of military strategic victory there. And we have a look at Kramatorsk, of which have a look at a photo here. And so here is a photo of Russia liberating somebody's home in Kramatorsk last night. Now, it's probably good to point out at this point, 3/4 of the people of the Ukrainian-controlled Donetsk Oblast here have since been evacuated, But there are always some people who remain who don't want to leave their homes for a variety of reasons. Now we'll pull up the map, and there has been some changes here on the front lines, some Russian advances here. So we'll just click forward, and we'll see that, just near the town or city of Bakhmut, Russia has taken an extra portion of the M3 highway there, which of course they love to have for their supply lines there. And a bit of good news in the region, in fact. Luhansk, or a town or a military post or ammunition depot called Rodakov, if I can find it. There it is, Rodakov right here, quite inland in fact. So right here, there's been widespread damage reported here after an ammunitions depot explosion. Now, the good news here, in a way, is that this is about 60 kilometers from the front line, if I can get the ruler to work here today. Here we go. There we go, great, starting to work. It's about 70 kilometers from the front line. If you take it even a little bit further, I'm not sure if you can read that down the very bottom, it's about 80 kilometers. So this is pretty much the operational capability of Ukraine's high-range missile systems, like the HIMARS there. So probably just behind Bakhmut. In fact, where I put the cursor there is really where HIMARS are probably shooting from to reach an ammunitions depot of Russia's right in the Luhansk region, right deep within there. Now I say 85 kilometers, that's about 52 miles, just for your record there. And there we go. Now, it's not the only high-range capability that Ukraine has. They do have Neptune missiles, which go for about 190 miles or about 280 kilometers. But these are actually more anti-ship missiles, which may be retrofitted perhaps potentially to strike land. Not exactly sure, but in this case, probably a HIMARS there. Okay. Oh, and probably if I was to zoom in, I think the reason why they're going to hit Radakov, so the Ukrainians hit the ammunitions depot, is because if you zoom right in, right here, it's actually quite a great deal of railway infrastructure there. And of course, Russians love their railway infrastructure, or the Russian military complex there, in order to get their supplies in and around the region that they're in. Okay, now coming down to probably some big news all over the internet at the moment is some explosions in Crimea, some different ones. So not the one at the Saki airbase here, that was probably 4 or 5 days ago at least now, but over here in Zankoy, if I'm pronouncing that right. So an explosion and fire broke out at a transformer substation here. And also nearby in this area here, maybe a small suburb, here it is, Mask right here. So some ammunitions detonated at a depot here as well. So these two locations here, apparently at the time of this recording as well, the detonations of ammunition still continues. And here's the video there. Russian officials claim it was due to a fire, just a fire, that's all they seem to say. Ukraine has already claimed credit for this one, saying that it was a demilitarization in action, which is interesting, which is good, because Ukraine isn't always the quickest to claim a strike in a region deep inland in Russian-held territory. Now, at this point, it's clear for me to see that Russia has some sort of a military-centric propaganda office, and not a very creative one at that, where they determine, again, not very creatively, how to save face in the wake of a military loss like this. We'll just say it was an accidental fire from smoking. Excuse my horrible Russian accent. Everybody loves to put it on though. But they stopped short of saying it was from smoking. But they did say it was a fire, and the way that they portrayed it seems like it was accidental and unrelated to Ukrainian capabilities. Now, moving across to the news. This first one is a little bit of hearsay, but Russian proxies in the Donetsk Oblast, right here, so the Donetsk soldiers on the Russian side, are reportedly suffering from really low morale and an unwillingness to support Russia as much now. They're also upset being redeployed from different regions, for example, like Mariupol to Luhansk, and Melitopol to somewhere else, somewhere that's actually not even in their oblast. So I'm not surprised that the Donetsk separatist forces that are pro-Russian are starting to feel a bit of low morale when it comes to Russia there. In more news, this is I guess economic news here. So Ukraine exports in the last 6 months have amounted to 22.7 billion US dollars. And to put that in context, that's only 24% less than the previous year's reporting period. So trade-related exports to other nations, it's actually not down by 99%, which you might think because of a country at war. But yeah, really only down 24%, which is pretty impressive, I thought there. I didn't know that number, and that was always good news to hear, at least in my opinion there. Now, some more Belarus news there. So due to the Belarus support of Russia, many international companies are now also leaving Belarus, just like they've been leaving Russia in the past 6 months, including Amazon, UPS, Airbnb, and a whole bunch of others I forget, and they're continuing to leave by the day. So I'm starting to think long-term Belarus's economy is going to lapse or crush quite a bit there. Now, news outside again of Ukraine, Latvia. Latvia delivers 4 helicopters to Ukraine, and just to get some context on a different map, because it's not loading up on that map there, is Latvia is right here. So 4 helicopters to Ukraine, 2 Mi-17 helicopters, and 2 Mi-2 helicopters. Now, Latvia has already supplied more than 200 million euros worth of weapons to Ukraine. So that's pretty impressive there. And I've said it before, but this is a pretty ballsy move by Latvia with what they do in terms of standing up in solidarity against Russia, because you can plainly see that they are sharing an actual border with Russia. A much smaller one, probably easier to grasp than the really big one of Ukraine. So good for them for being a Russian border neighbor and talking and being like that. Okay, just lastly, guys, lighter side of news, or in this case, it's more of a funny today. But this is just a meme from the given days and today, with the explosions in Crimea. So when the recent developments in the last week there as well. So we've got a bit of a picture of a saying g'day or hi, hello to Crimea from a high Mars. Now, that's pretty much it for now. I'll probably just squeeze in. It's good to see that Ukraine has that capability to strike deep within enemy lines there. Probably using a Neptune missile. I mean, it's got to be just the range, or the US or UK have supplied them something that they haven't yet advised the rest of the world, and they've got even higher range capabilities. But I'm going to keep it at that for now, guys. Probably for another video. But yeah, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment, subscribe, like. Certainly like where you can. Show those propagandist trolls the underlying sentiment in support for Ukraine for sure. So thanks again, and I do hope to see all of you guys there in the next one. Cheers.